What is going on YouTube? Hayden back making another brand new crypto TV episode. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, as well as Litecoin. Yes, I know a ton of cryptocurrencies. I try to discuss some of the most important ones in the market, or the one of the coins within the top 10. I try not to dip too much below, but obviously if you guys have some other recommendations in regards to cryptocurrencies you'd like to see, definitely make sure to drop a comment with which one you'd like to review. I know Bitcoin SV and some other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum Classic are starting to blow up, and if you guys have interest in me doing technical analysis on them, definitely make sure to leave a comment down below so I know. But like I said, I like to stay in between the top 10, and I don't usually dip below then unless we have a reason to review it, because I don't want to make these videos 30 minutes long. Otherwise, to jump into the technical analysis, we will be looking at the very interesting market within the these four cryptocurrencies: XRP, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. I also want to discuss whether or not we should be buying long on DueDEX, because honestly, the way these markets are looking, we may be en route to another bullish breakout, and I thought I would discuss that with you guys because I know you have quite a bit of interest on this. So we will be discussing that as well. Otherwise, if you are new to the channel, definitely make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up. We're about to break 13,100 subscribers. Freaking amazing. I don't know how we're doing it, but you guys are freaking killing it. So huge shout out to you. Otherwise, let's jump into today's episode. So guys, yesterday we left off with a very interesting video. I had a pattern I drew, as you guys can see right here, in regards to this doji formation that we were starting to see on XRP. You can see it was almost identical in regards to XRP, making that reversal doji, and then immediately seeing that that was a direct correlation with the way technical analysis usually works. More so within stock trading, things like that, a doji represents, or an extended doji represents, a reversal in the market. So we have this uptrend that started, the doji right here. That reversal doji indicates a reversal to the downside, and as you can see, that exact doji formed on XRP. As I zoom in, you guys can take note of that. Very, 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 very clear that this was a reversal doji. So we'll see in the next couple of days if we're going to start to correct downwards. Ultimately, we had our uptrend here, we had the reversal doji, and now we could expect to see that recovery or that correction to the downside. But the way these markets are moving right now, honestly, it's kind of throwing technical analysis to the wind, and it's starting to do its own thing, whether that be manipulation or so on and so forth. I'm not too sure, but in regards, I do like to refer to technical analysis because that's how I make majority of my trades and profit off of them. So that's why we're going to stick with that for right now. Manipulation, we can't really follow that. We have to rule that into the equation, but for the most part, I just try to stick with the technicals. Otherwise, let's just jump into the current coin market cap. You can see markets are up again. Another crazy thing. Top 10 cryptos are all in green except for Bitcoin SV, which, as we know, after it's like 100% run, people are considering it to be a pump and dump, and it's starting to correct lower. We also have Bitcoin Tether kind of dropping just ever so slightly. But otherwise, very shocked to see Litecoin in number 7. Very, very, very shocked to see Bitcoin SV in the top 10. Even in the top 5, it blows my mind. But some other cryptocurrencies are starting to blast. Ethereum Classic, 30% up. Is that foreshadowing another big move for Ethereum? We'll have to find out shortly. Otherwise, a lot of the other cryptocurrencies are in green for the most part, and they're looking quite well. So I do just want to jump into things. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, DueDEX, great platform that I love to use. A lot of people had questions. Obviously, if you want to see another review on DueDEX, definitely make sure to leave that below. A lot of people were asking, how do they send Bitcoin into the account? How do they buy Bitcoin? I feel like I do have a bunch of beginners on the channel, but we're fairly mixed. We have a bunch of people that are novice traders and that are very, very, very much advanced, that take advantage of market movements and things like that, and they don't really need a beginner info video. But obviously, if there are some people on the channel that would like to see another overview review on how to send Bitcoin into the account, how to set it up, I can obviously make one of those too. I just need to hear the voices and opinions, so please do feel free to leave a comment down below. It only takes a couple of seconds. And for those of you that don't have the account, there is also a link in the description down below, the first link, which you can set up and create this DueDEX account so you can follow along with me and trade with me as we go on. So honestly, the way things are looking, we may be setting up for a long position in the next couple of days, if not hours, the way the markets are starting to move. You can see very interesting, we had this resistance right here where we had a couple of days of sideways movement, which we eventually broke bullish from. It looks like the same exact sideways movement is happening right now, which could reference that we could be seeing another bullish break to the upside. Honestly, we do have to consider a couple of things. FOMO investing is a real thing, and the way these markets are moving, we just can't keep pumping up and up and up. It's going to end up pushing us into extreme overbought markets, but we do have some bullish signals on the charts which show the possibility of a reversal happening. Honestly, you guys can see on Bitcoin's chart right here on the weekly, for the first time in months, and you can see the last time we were crossing with a bullish cross right here was all the way back in the beginning of 2019. In February, we had the first bullish cross in a very long time. You can see right here. And immediately after seeing that bullish cross, it was game on. And then we immediately shot up. So if history repeats itself, and the fact is that we're starting to see that bullish cross happen right now, we may be in for another bull market, another move into maybe the halving of 2020 come Bitcoin. So with this bullish factor being something to pay attention to, long term, and I'm talking it's January right now, February, March, and April, and May, we may see a 4-month bull market for Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies. And that's something you guys have to take seriously. Now, I'm referring to this as a 4-month long-term bull market. And for those of you that are new and don't understand, or maybe are a beginner, when I mean long-term, I mean we may have our ups and downs, but ultimately we'll be heading higher up. So when I draw this out for you, you guys can see a couple of things. Expect to see movements like this, but ultimately the pattern is moving up higher. That's the main goal that I'm trying to represent to you guys, is that we are going to be in an uptrend for the most part within the next couple of months, 4 months. And I am pretty bullish on the market come 2020. I'm expecting to see the movements up, but we do technical analysis every day. So do expect to see in the short term, which means every couple of days, maybe every day, we could be seeing the reversal downwards, corrections downwards as we head up higher. But ultimately, the main point that I'm noticing compared to previous movements is it looks like we're starting to break out of our previous uptrend. You can see or our previous downtrend. We do have this bearish fractal on the market right here, and we have this beautiful support right here that we haven't really been using since the beginning of 2019. Since this uptrend right here, it pretty much confirms that we started to use this as a support. Take into effect, we broke bullish outside of the high-low MMA, and we've had these wicks right here. So on the daily, yes, we did dip below here on the Bitcoin daily. We did break below here, yes. But when you look at it on the weekly, these are wicks that formed, and these wicks show confirmation that this is a very strong support and one that we're not messing around with. We look great on the RSI 55. We look great on the MACD, about to see a bullish cross. And honestly, I may actually be buying into DueDEX probably maybe today or tomorrow in regards to buying a long position. So I will be setting up my position, probably 10 times leverage, and then I will be opening that up for a long position in the future, keeping it open for quite some time. We may see some bumps in the road where we do consolidate back down a little bit like we've seen in the past here. We do have a dip, but we immediately correct up. I will have a stop loss on the market as well. But ultimately, as referenced here, there's a very high chance we could break up. The only resistance we had was the high-low MMA, and we immediately broke through that and then skyrocketed up. So ultimately, the fact that we just immediately broke through that may signify a bullish move to the upside. Now, notice the reason we're getting a little bit of congestion right here is due to the fact that this is a resistance. This is previous resistance that we hit back in May of 2019. You can see we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of consolidation before we could break and blast higher than that. And the fact is we're starting to do that right now. We could have a couple of weeks now of sideways movement before we see the break. The only reason I think it's going to be shorter than what we saw in the past is when we were in the past here, we were overbought. The fact is we are not overbought right now. We're at 50 on the RSI, which gives us plenty of room to move higher, which ultimately tells me there's a very high chance we could be seeing new highs higher than our previous movements in 2019. 2019, we were only able to reach 13.9 or 14,000. Well, come 2020, we may be able to break even higher up to maybe $17,000 or $18,000 on Bitcoin. And that's not including, FOMO buying, which could set us up to 20K. But honestly, I do think 20K is setting, or 2020 is setting up for a great year and a great rally. And I honestly, the way the markets are looking in terms of the weekly, I am very long-term bearish the next 4 or 5 months leading to the halving. So honestly, with that being said, I'm going to be opening a position on DueDEX in regards to a long-term buy-in. Now, that's something I want to clarify too. If you guys are planning on copying me, take this into consideration because I feel like it is something that needs to be mentioned. Leverage trading has high risk when you leverage it by a lot. So if you're planning on buying in long term, consider a couple of things. Now, I believe DueDEX in the next couple of days will be closing their liquidation phase, which is awesome. That means if we do decide to correct lower, you won't be sold off by DueDEX's automatic buy-in or buyout program. But with that comes more responsibility. Since there is still that liquidation phase on DueDEX, consider if you're going to be holding in for long term to not do anything over 10 times leverage. I'd honestly say maybe 5 times at most do leverage if you're going to be holding on for the next couple of months. If you want to do short-term movements, yeah, do 25, do 50, do 10, but only short-term. That means no more than a day or two, honestly, with the markets the way they are. We could see an immediate dip, and this will auto-sell you off. So that comes responsibility. If you're holding long-term, do smaller leverages. If you're doing a short-term move, do higher leverages, and obviously play around with the market. Now, I'm no financial advisor, so take that with a grain of salt. But ultimately, long-term, I do believe that Bitcoin is headed up much higher. In regards to short-term, I do believe we're going to see a little bit of consolidation in pullback due to the fact that we're overbought on the daily, or about to hit overbought. Same thing with the 4-hour here, too. We're kind of capped right now. So honestly, I would anticipate a small correction to the $8,000 support. But the way the markets are headed, there's a very high chance we could break up even higher. So do take that into some consideration when investing into Bitcoin. Now, as for the other cryptocurrencies, all of their weeklies look great. But in regards to their dailies, you could see maybe some very short consolidation back down to support, which could be a short on DueDEX because we're overbought right now. Maybe, time to do. You can also see we're having some very, very, very odd and interesting movements on Ethereum as well, with these massive, weird candles forming. Unlike here, we're very, 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 big on the volume. You have to consider that there may be a small correction back down to support before we see higher movements popping us up within Ethereum. XRP2, the fact that we're hanging out here retesting the high-low MMA gives me reason to believe we may see a correction lower, but ultimately it's only short term, and if we can see a break above the high-low MMA and outside of this resistance that we're forming on the weekly, then I honestly expect to see a very, very, very colossal size breakout within XRP as well because of the downtrend. You can see the MACD. We're about to have that cross. So honestly, now that I'm looking at this, I think we're pretty bullish, honestly, in regards to long-term movements. I do expect if you guys are holding XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin all look great in regards to long-term holdings for 2020. We could easily see a bullish break to 36 cents, maybe even 86, maybe even $2 within XRP come the next couple of months. This bullish cross on the weekly sets us up for a long-term positive return on investments. Obviously, when you look at the daily, we're having a very, very, very critical retestment of that high-low MMA. But within confirmation of a break here, we're going to head up higher. In regards to that, maybe a short-term dip, and then we're going to head up higher. But ultimately, I'm pretty bullish now on the market. We pretty much confirmed our rally and our breakout. Yes, we did break out of the descending fractals. Yes, my only concern is that we are still setting these lower highs, but ultimately, we are good to go to move up higher. The weekly confirmed that, and honestly, I am pretty firm that we're going to head to higher levels come 2020. So I'm super excited. Definitely make sure to smash that subscribe button. Put in those shorts on DueDEX if you haven't already, or longs too, leverage trading. Definitely just register and sign up for the account. Now, obviously, take my advice with a grain of salt. I'm no financial advisor. Look at other YouTubers. Create your own opinion. And otherwise, definitely make sure to subscribe. And I will see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.